G'day folks, and welcome to the April update of Great Chesterford Junction, and I can show you what I've been up to in the last month or so, which frankly is not very much. So let's have a quick look at that first, and then we'll do something different this time. Okay, on Little Bardfield here, which is the work in progress at the moment, I've managed to create one of the lift-off buildings that I've possibly talking about that cover these handles that I use to remove the scenery. So this is it's an old kit actually, but it just comes off so that I can access the handle there to remove the scenery so that I can access the fiddle yard underneath. Now this is a very, very old plastic kit that's been around since the 1990s. I built it once before, not very well, and over the course of the years it's fallen apart, and so I've now tried to put it all back together and colour it up properly. In the course of its life it's lost the chimney, so this chimney is one that's come from another kit, and I had to actually cut out the roof a bit to fit that in. And anyway, it's all come together and I think it looks okay. It's certainly it's robust enough. It's going to get handled quite a lot over its life, and so the original kit had no glazing in the windows, so now there's glazing in there, and I've also put curtains etc. in there as usual to sort it out. Yeah, the stonework was all painted, and there's been a bit of grey pastel added to it to sort of soften it and weather it a bit. Yeah, it's no great kit as I say, but it does the job for that location there, and certainly will look a lot better once it's been detailed around the building. The other thing I've been doing on Little Bardfield is the station building. I've taken the two halves of that and sanded it extensively to get it to fit together as good as I can get it. I'm still not 100% happy with the result, but I reckon I can fudge it and get it to the point where it will look fairly good once it's all painted up and everything. But that's basically two halves of a building, nothing much to show there, and nothing much more has been done on it. I've also found a subject, a building that I can copy to use over here on the other handle. I've got a design for another removable building, and I've drawn that up on LibreDraw and LibreDrawing, I think it's called, and I'm yet to stick it to card and cut it out and all that sort of thing. But it's a slightly unusual building, so that's got to come along as well. In the meantime, I've been experimenting with the windows etc. that are going to go into that building as well, so that's again a work in progress. Well, that's about all I can show you on the railway as such, with any developments over the last month or so, because we've been fairly busy, so nothing much has happened. However, I'll get into the other subject I was going to talk about now. Right, the other day I had a visitor here from Canberra, Chris, who's on a member of Platform 1, and he was up in Sydney for a few days, a couple of days or whatever, and asked that while he was here could he come over and have a look at Great Chesterford Junction. And I said of course, you know, so Chris came over for a visit, and whilst he was here, I guess folks, this is somebody looking at this with new eyes. One of the first things that took him when he went through the door into the railway room was the location of Little Bardfield. In Chris's mind it was placed elsewhere in the room, and so we had a bit of a discussion about that and sort of thought, well, that's possibly the case for other people that are viewing my videos. A lot of my videos are done in close-up mode, so you see bits of the railway in extreme close-up in some cases, so people might not have an accurate idea of how things are placed in the room. So I thought I would try and go through a process here and show you exactly how the room is set up, and I'll do a walkthrough with the camera, showing you pretty much the whole building if you like, and I've got track plans which will help explain the building as well, and also how the train room is set out. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. So we'll get into that now. Well, if we start first out here in the carport, we've got the carport that was added on to the original garage, and then we move down to the central door here, which is the entrance to the workshop, and down the far end there is another door to the storage shed at the back of the main building. So if we walk towards the central door, which is the main way into the building, excuse me, this is the workshop area. And if we pan around in here, you can see that it's basically just a square room with various bits of equipment in it, and I've got my railway which runs around the room. There's bits of track going around the room. This room, by the way, is lit by a skylight. Now, this, being in Australia, is on the southern side, so I don't get direct sunlight on that during the day, but it certainly lights the room very well. It's almost like having a fluoro on in here. Now, if we go back to the doorway again and open this other door, this is where the little classic sports car is kept, the MG, and that's got its own little room. Right, so now, back in the workshop again, and we move over to the train room. This sort of gives it away, doesn't it? So when we first come to the door of the train room, you can see in there on the left is Great Chesterford Junction. We've got this dividing wall, which is a peninsula in a way. On one side it's got Bamford, and on this right hand side it blocks off the room from Little Bardfield, which is here on the right hand side. So you can see Little Bardfield is in there. The reason for this was deliberate. So if we go up a bit, we can have a look at get an overall view from up top here. You can see how it's separate from the rest of the room, even though it's in a room with a lot of stuff in it. And the reason for doing this was to sort of set it up so that it's isolated, it's all out there on its own. That's the impression you want to give. And when you're actually working behind this wall, even though we can see over the wall to the rest of the railway, when you're behind this wall, it's like this is all that exists. As far as the operator is concerned, this is all he has to worry about, this area here. And of course, if we come back to the doorway again and even go up a bit higher so that you can look down on the thing, you can see that all this area over here is Great Chesterford Junction, and as we move around to the right, you can see the peninsula here, or the dividing wall that has Bamford mounted on it. Now this back wall here, this is where the storage room is. There's a storage room behind there. It's about 5 foot wide and about 10 foot long. And the reason I've got a storage room behind there is because if we go back over here to Little Bardfield, and you can see where the track goes under the bridge there. That's where the track goes under the bridge, the Little Bardfield, and it goes down behind Bamford and along over to the wall where it exits the room, does a loop in the storage room, and then it comes back in via this hole here into Bamford. Now we're back outside here now, and we're going to have a look at the storage room. Just open the door and turn the light on. Right, so this is the storage room. Now you can see this lower level here. This is the lower level, and that's the upper level. So this is the lower level where the train exits the room from Little Bartfield. It's gone down behind Bamford and it's come out here across this bridge, which is a folding bridge, and then up there around behind the fascia around the room, and it's climbed up and it gradually gets to the point here where it goes through into the room again, into Bamford. Now heading back into the room again. One of the other things that Chris noted was the turntable here. Now this turntable doesn't operate much in my videos, but it's a day-pile kit, and it's been motorised using a combination of a 12-volt geared motor that I had plus some Meccano, and the combination of the two gives a lot of reduction, and consequently it runs very slowly. So if I power it up and turn it on, there's two things you'll notice. Firstly, that it operates slowly, and secondly, it's very quiet. So I'll stop talking for a moment, and we'll just let it operate, and you can get a sense of the noise level. I'll just move a bit closer. Now this is a view from underneath, and the reason it's so quiet is that I think this must have been a high quality 12-volt motor. It's got a gearbox in it there, and it can run extremely slow, and of course it's all metal gears, so, and I lubricate it from time to time, so it meshes really well and it's very quiet. Even when it's the speed is turned up, it's not that noisy. And of course I fitted a small pulley to the end of the shaft, and then I was lucky enough to acquire some Meccano, so I've run, these are just rubber bands off the pulley onto a Meccano pulley, and that's got a small gear wheel on the opposite side which drives this yellow gear here, which is the final shaft which goes up to the turntable. So you can see how slow it's going now. And I do have a speed controller on the control panel for it as well, so I can speed it up. I'll do it just now. I've just increased it by a small amount, but now I'll slow it down and I'll take it back a bit more and a bit more. So you can see it's quite variable, so I usually have it at about this speed here, somewhere around there. Anyway, that's how it's done. It's a rather crude system, I suppose, but it works. So the turntable cost me the kit and plus another $4. So yeah, it's a very cheap turntable, which might get replaced one day by a homemade jobber, who knows. But anyway, that's the reason why it's so slow and so quiet. The other part of the railway that rarely gets seen is a sliding fiddle yard that's underneath Bamford here. So we might just set up the tripod properly and we can show you. Right, this is a 7-road sliding fiddle yard. 6 roads are for storage, the 7th road is a release road. Currently it's in the release road position, and it's operated by these sliding levers. There's one at each end that you pull in, and then you slide the yard forward, release the levers, and they lock into set holes in a steel plate. That's what locks it in place. You can just move it and they move in. Simple as that. It also slides out so that you can do maintenance on it. That's as far as it goes. It has the tracks held down with screws in these positions here. That allows me, and they're in between the sleepers, and I've got a couple of washers on each one. So what that allows me to do is to make minute adjustments on the track alignment. So I just loosen off the screw and slide it either way or whatever, or put some packing under it, whatever is required. So yeah, and these are homemade uncouplers for tension lock couplings. They work rather well. And we'll have a look at the other end of it too. It's not just for coach storage and wagon storage here. I've got loco storage at the other end. Yeah, it's just up beyond the storage for the coaches and wagons. I've got loco storage as well. So in here there's 4 roads that can hold 2 locos each, and there's 2 roads that hold 1 loco each. So there's quite a bit of storage in there. Now the big problem with this system is that you might notice over the end over here there's a big gap beyond there, and so what I've done is in the back of the steel plates that sit in this area here, I've got micro switches that will only activate the road that's in front of the loco when the sliding yard is in place, and that's the release road in the sliding yard. So they're electrically isolated until it's safe to move them. So because I didn't want locos going off the end there willy-nilly and falling on the floor. This is the control panel for the sliding yard. Up this end is all the loco controls, so a red light means that the roads are isolated, and when we switch one on, we can switch them both on, and unless the release road's in front of that, those locos won't move. And it's also, this is made out of a picture frame, and it slides down for access to the back of it with all the LEDs and switches and everything. But most of the time it's up in that position. The other thing you wouldn't normally see in this room is this drop down bridge which goes across the doorway, and I've got 2 padlocks underneath it to lock it into place. Right, the flap just swings up, and we have a pad bolt under here that locks it in place like that, and then the second one like so, and we're done. On the hinge side I've got 2 household door hinges, so this sucker's going nowhere. And the actual bridge itself is made out of 25mm MDF, so it's quite robust and hasn't given me any trouble yet. The bridge to the garage just simply lifts up. There's a sliding or a hinged flap that goes underneath it to support it. I've got a phono plug for the track connection that just plugs in, and I have just a simple G clamp to put the track in position and just lock it down. Doesn't take much to do that. Underneath that one as well there's the catches for ball catches. I've used ball catches on the one that goes to the external door, so I'll just show you that going up. So we just simply lift it up and then just hold it carefully, lock it in, check the alignment, and that's it. To lower that one again, I just give it a bit of a tap and away it goes, just like that. So even though there's 3 doorways actually 4 if you count the back room, to negotiate on this railway and to bridge in an effective manner, I think I've managed to do it so that it's fairly easy. It's not a big chore to set these things up. The one with the ball catchers coming into the garage, or into the workshop I should say, is very easy indeed. Just snap it into place. And of course the one across the door to the train room itself is a bit heavier, and it's got 2 pad bolts, but you know, it takes very little time to set it up. Bang bang and you're done. There's no electrical connections to worry about on that one either. So yeah, keep it simple folks, that's my motto. Well folks, I hope that solved some of the mysteries for you. Anyway, take care and I'll see you next month. Cheers, Gourmet.